Welcome to New Life Live with Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's today's host, Chris Williams.
Welcome, New Life family, friends, listeners. We're so glad that you're with us today, and I'm in studio today with Jim Burns. Jim, how are you doing?
I'm doing very good, and it's good to see you. You're looking pretty dapper in your black T-shirt.
It's easy.
The cool kids wear black T-shirts now, and so that makes you a cool kid.
I love that I finally made the club.
Yeah.
The cool clique.
If I would have known, it just took a black T-shirt. I would have done this a long time ago. Yes, absolutely. And Dr. Jill Hubbard.
Hello. And black is not my color, so that would never work for me.
No, but Jill, what I love is color is your color.
Color is my color.
I
Yes,
absolutely
that is true.
love it. Yes. So, Jill, what's on your mind today?
Okay, well, on radio, we've heard a lot lately about parent and family estrangement.
Yes.
And so I ran across an article on that, and so I thought I would just highlight, because I thought the author had some interesting points. So, first of all, that it's kind of become a silent epidemic in the U.S., and that there are actually, you're not alone, tens of millions of families going through this.
Wow.
And it brings this deep sense of rejection and pain and shame and confusion, right?
Yes.
Parents are left baffled, as has been a word we've used recently. It's most often amongst Gen Zers. So the 20-somethings are tending to have a trend this way.
Yeah.
Okay, so the author proposed a few hypotheses. The first one being less personal, and that is that often your child or family member gets in a relationship with someone that is controlling and abusive and isolating of them, that tries to separate them for their own needs away from family. And if you suspect that this is happening, it's really important that you stay connected in any way you can to your child.
Yeah.
Continue to reach out, get family members or friends from home that can give them some lifelines to their upbringing, their past, their childhood, safe people.
Yeah.
And to continue reaching out in those ways, and even trying to connect, as we talk so often about, with the significant other, right? To reduce some of that and to keep tabs on them. Another thought is that kids today in their 20s often struggle with a lack of self-esteem and increased anxiety, right? Especially in families of divorce.
Yes.
This is dysregulating, destabilizing for kids, and they often tend to blame their parents, right? They didn't get enough growing up. And unfortunately, this can even be supported by some of us therapists that jump on kind of the trauma victim wagon. And then some of these kids are often running instead of growing up, accepting pain, working through it, taking some responsibility. And another stance is that a kid who is maybe in a more rebellious place in terms of their separation and individuation, and that this is the only stance they can take in trying to grow up and separate. And that's also very painful. And then I have some examples of what to do, but I'm thinking that was going to have to wait.
Okay, yes.
Right?
Well,
as we're running out of time here.
Yes, well, I just think that what I'm reminded of is that we oftentimes don't know how to have hard conversations in relationships.
Yes.
And how important it is for us to be able to engage in those. And that for some of us that have these, especially avoidant styles, would rather cut off than try to enter into the difficulty or even the pain. So
right, and I think it is being reinforced for the younger generation.
I think absolutely.
Today as a style,
it's
almost a remedy.
It's almost like a contagion. So
oh, absolutely.
Yes. All right, we're going to talk more about this right when we come back.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn from New Life Live, and Chris Williams and I are doing the Emotional Freedom Workshop. I don't know of anybody that wouldn't benefit from emotional freedom. We're all bound or stuck or struggling in some area. What are we going to do there, Chris?
Just really help people get clarity around the places where they're stuck in their life. They sort of circle the same mountain of disappointment over and over and over again. You're going to be able to see that mountain clearly and get to a new place of what we call emotional freedom, which is simply I can feel in the world, build a relationship to it, and know what to do with my experiences.
The New Life Emotional Freedom Online Intensive is Saturday, September 14th. Steve Arterburn, Chris Williams, and Dr. Jackie Mack Harris will present information on trauma, depression, codependency, and more. And small group leaders will help you process the information you learn. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live, and we're talking with Jim Burns and Jill Hubbard. And Jill, you were talking about estrangement, especially in adulthood, child estrangement from their parents.
Right. So here's a few things that this author recommends doing in that, okay? That first of all, you want to champion your young adults framework, right? Instead of going against them, you want to say something like, as you contact them, I understand you want no contact, but I'd just like to say, I know you wouldn't have cut me off unless you felt it was the healthiest thing for you to do. I'm wondering if you could help me understand this more, because I understand that I have blind spots and I really want to work on those. So if you would feel comfortable, could you tell me more? Okay, if they, after that, you wait 6 weeks. If they don't respond, you again lean in and ask if they received what you had sent, right?
Yeah.
And then the author is recommending you reach out to them once a month for 6 months.
Yeah.
After that, you wait until a year is up, and then you reach out again. So this is for really prolonged.
Yeah, it's playing what I call playing the long game.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's really, really good. And so helpful in these painful situations. I want to encourage people. You can also get Jim's book,
Yes.
Doing Life with Your Adult Children, and that you just provide such great framework for this, Jim, in navigating how to make these transitions. Yeah.
Well, it's so key, and you're here, like you said, it's happening in millions of homes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's an epidemic.
Yeah. With that, we're going to go to the calls. We're going to go to Linda, listening in Washington, D.C. on WAVA. Linda, so glad that you're with us today. Tell us what's going on. Tell us how we can help you.
Well, the short answer or question is my approach or my response to my sister and my mother, because my sister has a substance abuse addiction, and she struggled with it for the better part of 30 years. And so most recently, after a very unsuccessful intervention with the family, I've essentially told her she is no longer allowed to call me unless she calls me from the landline of a treatment program. And I proceeded to tell her that I'm preparing myself mentally for the inevitable call of her demise. And I also told my mother she is no longer allowed to talk to me about my sister or anything that happens in the house, because my mother has allowed her to stay there despite my and my other sister's constant encouragement to let her go. That will force her to get help. So they both have decided, my sister has decided she doesn't want treatment. She's not ready. And my mother's decided that she cannot see her daughter essentially out of the house. So I told both of them I'm preparing myself to hear that she's dead. And I've even gone as far as I told my sister, I even shared with her things that I would say about her at her funeral. Like, that's how serious and intense the conversation was. And since then, my mother, she sometimes she makes comments about my sister during conversations. Yeah. And I don't respond. I don't acknowledge it. I kind of just wait for her to stop, and then I'll move the conversation on. So I just want to know, is that an appropriate response to both of them?
Well, my first question is, where did you learn such healthy boundaries?
Well, in my profession, but even as a professional, it took me many years to finally get to this point to say, I will not go down this road with you. And it's hard, but, I told my sister, hey, we all believe in God. We all believe in Jesus. I will rely on that, on him to get me through any unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it sounds incredibly healthy. What do you think,
Well, when
Jill?
you've tried everything else, and Linda, it sounds like you've been down this road so many times with your sister, and the attempts to help her have all fallen through. And you see her kind of being in charge of your mother's home. And I understand your mom's feelings. It is hard for a mom. And that's why you need other people around you who can say, this is what works and what you're doing doesn't. And Chris, as you always say, families and family homes do not make good treatment centers.
Yes, families make terrible treatment centers.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's so true. But it's hard for your mom, too, to come to terms with that. And it's almost like she needs an intervention for herself and some education on addiction and what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And it can feel brutal. But Linda, I like your stance, and I am thinking you've come to this because there's no other choice here.
Yeah.
You don't start out this way. So
Yeah.
obviously what you've done is you've worked through some issues. And where you want to be careful is you got to be strong, and you're strong. What you're saying is right. And with your mom, it's hard because you're going to have to be strong, but you also have to show empathy to your mom and love. You don't have to go. Empathy doesn't mean that you become a codependent. Please don't hear that.
Right.
But sometimes boundaries are so good, and in this case they are, but you don't want to sound too harsh. You can say, I have hope that when this gets better, we'll be able to be more loving together, something like that. That doesn't mean you change your boundary, but sometimes the tone. And I'm thinking more about your mom than your sister, because your sister needs to go get some help.
That's a really good point, Jim, because sometimes in order to erect these boundaries, we have to get really angry.
Yeah.
And that comes out. And so other people, instead of seeing our boundary, they're reacting to the harshness.
Yeah.
and
Right.
we call this
So
tough.
you can be firm but loving.
Tough love. When we do tough love, that's right. That's how you do it. But if it comes out mean-spirited,
Yes.
and I'm not saying that that's Linda's story, but if it comes out mean-spirited, then they're not going to listen anyway.
No.
But tough love allows them to have the circumstances, and then you show, empathy for them. You say, I'm so sorry that's the case, and you don't bail them out.
Yeah.
Right. And Mom, I love you. I understand where your heart's at, but that doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I love that.
Right.
Absolutely. And Linda, I mean, I hope you hear that we are just reinforcing what you are doing. We are cheering you on and being like, Linda, if this happens to me, I probably need to call you. And you need to walk me through how you got to this point, making these decisions and standing firm on these boundaries. And it sounds like you've already done this, but to add on to what Jim was saying, it's like, our heart position that we have when we're setting these boundaries is really important. I think the other aspect of this is that when we have family members or loved ones who are struggling with addiction, I also like to bookend it with this. I will do nothing that contributes to your life-threatening addiction. But I will do anything within my power to help you get the help you need. But
I can definitely do that.
Yeah, all of my resources, and they may be limited, and that's okay. We don't want to, put ourselves in a really, really horrible situation and trying to help somebody else that may or may not work. But hey, within my power, whatever I can do, I will do to help you get help. But I will not do anything that contributes to, again, this incredibly life-threatening addiction. Yeah. And so...
Oh, thank you for those words.
Yes. And Linda, knowing that, surmising that you're in the helping profession, one of the things that we just know is like our own life experiencing, and as one of my, drinking our own medicine, one of my friends says eating our own dog food. It's kind of great, but it's kind of like it really strengthens us and allows us to help more people. So I'm also really encouraged by the people that are sitting and standing in front of you and getting your help. And so with that, we're going to send you a copy of the Life Recovery Bible. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, absolutely. And we would love for you to be able to attend our Life Recovery Conference that's coming up here in October. And you can find that online, newlife.com. But we would love for you to be a part of that. So, Linda, thank you so much for calling in. And listeners out there, listen to Linda. These boundaries that she's coming to can be born out of a lot of fear and pain and frustration, but they really are healthy, and they're not meant to be harsh, but healthy. So with that, we're going to go right back to the phones. We're going to go to Myra, listening in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Myra, are you there?
I am. Hi.
Excellent. Glad you're with us today. Tell us what's going on and how we can help you.
Yeah, I have a tough time coping with the situation I got into, and I'm trying. I think I'm trying many different things, but nothing helps me. So I thought I'll give another try talking with you today.
Excellent. Well, what's the problem? What's going on?
Right. So it's about fertility, or rather infertility. I'm married for 16 years, and my husband had prostate cancer. So it started off shortly after we got married. He was diagnosed two months later, and ever since we're in care of doctors, and we try everything was offered, best on the market, newest, improved, everything. Till 2 weeks ago, my doctor concluded some women never meant to be pregnant, and that's me, and just quit.
Oh my gosh.
I'm falling in pieces.
Yeah.
I always knew it's coming. I just need to be patient to get it.
Yeah.
But now it's not coming, and I'm not ready. I never had plan B. I always knew I'm having a baby, my own, to carry and to love and to have it.
Yeah.
And now it's not going to happen, and I can't make it through the day.
Oh.
It really, really messes me up. And I don't know what to do. I thought as time goes on, it's 2 weeks today, and I thought 2 weeks is sufficient time. But anytime I think of the fact that I'm not having a baby, like my knees buckle, like I can't.
Yeah.
I'm physically getting sick.
Yeah.
Thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, I can definitively say that 2 weeks is not enough time.
No.
I mean, you're still really, really, really early into this devastating news. Yeah. Jill, how do we care for her well?
So painful, and I don't think most people realize the pain of women who go through infertility, and what that means, because it's a ripple effect for one's life and the expectations and how you pictured your life, and to have to grieve something. It's like you're grieving the baby that never was, right? But it's a death.
Right.
Well, and grieving all of your hopes and dreams.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Children,
totally. Yeah.
grandchildren,
Yeah.
at every level. And so if you are struggling and your weak need, I understand it. I understand that is where you're at, and you may be there for a while. And this is where being with other women who have gone through it is helpful. I've had friends who actually would pull away because it was too painful to be around friends with children.
Yeah.
And so this kind of loss and death and loss of dreams, it needs its special place to be able to be heard and to be voiced. And so my wish for you is to not pull away from people, but to also seek the support that can come alongside you. And in that, go ahead.
I hear what you're saying,
Yeah.
but in 16 years, I've been through support groups and talked to somebody individually, one-on-one, and I think everybody is through with that because it's so long that I think I annoy people just mentioning. So, yes, my support circle at this point is much smaller than it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And it's only because I really think some of my friends look at me like, you crazy for still trying it. And they pull away from me. I think they just heard it all, saw me crying so many times, and they just threw with it. And I don't...
Well, they feel powerless.
I don't annoy them.
They feel powerless, Myra. Nobody knows how to give you what you want to make the pain stop.
Myra. So my wife, 10 years infertile, we went through that, and her pain was so depth. As you were talking, I was going back to her pain, and sometimes all I could do was hold her because I'd say it's going to be okay. I'd say the wrong things, but I found that when she talked to other women who had gone through this, it was really helpful.
Okay.
Because they would understand. They would understand the depth of your pain and understanding. And we adopted a child, and that changed it for Kathy. I'm not saying some of that pain didn't go away, but all of a sudden she was changing diapers, and it was a incredible change. 10 years it took. So you may want to think about that too.
So, Myra, we're going to head to a break right now, but we're going to come back and really kind of give you more comfort, guidance, and direction in this.
When you give to the New Life Scholarship Fund, you're giving someone hope for a brighter future.
I was kind of in the closet and hid with my struggle. Your donation really made the difference, especially in my situation, because I ended up getting laid off from my job.
At the New Life Intensives, hurting people are able to begin a new path towards healing and freedom that has an effect on all of those around them.
I think the people who support New Life financially are people that I'll never know. I'll never be able to thank them personally for the gift that they gave to us. Their giving saved me, my husband, and our family from being torn apart.
To help hurting people to connect to the help they need, make your gift to the Scholarship Fund at newlife.com or by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE and specifying scholarships.
Someone called and sponsored me to come this weekend. Whoever that is, just know that you saved a life. Literally, you saved my life.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 Steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. We're so glad that you are with us. There's many different ways to listen to us and connect with us. New Life app is a great way. If you download the New Life Live app, New Life Ministries app, it gives you access to all of our resources, including this show. And so that would be, again, a great way to connect, and you can listen to the show anytime, anywhere. Mm-hmm. Right now, we're talking with Myra, and Myra, just at the break, our hearts are breaking for you, and just the devastation that you're going through, and that you have been going through for a really long time,
and holding on to hope.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, in 16 years, you've turned over every stone, every possibility, and so. Even though your friends are kind of over it, you're just hearing this news and it brings it up almost like brand new in terms of the finality of it.
And, and with that, Myra, I would then encourage you to maybe go back online and research infertility support groups.
Yes.
You may need a new group. Yeah.
A new group.
That can go through this new chapter.
Because this one is fresh.
Yeah.
This one is different. The news that you got 2 weeks ago is different than the news that you've gotten before.
Yeah, grief comes in waves, too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was a huge tidal wave.
Yeah.
Tsunami.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so getting into maybe a new support network that they can relearn, and they have the capacity to comfort. Mm-hmm. And again, what's really important is when it comes to infertility, here's the mistake that people who want to comfort you make. And they're going to give you, I mean, you've probably already experienced this 1,000 times over. They're going to give you 1,000 different suggestions on what you could do.
And stories.
Yeah. And stories, right?
Yeah.
Do you need any of those?
No.
No.
Some of them are just really straight up bad, wrong. Like,
yeah, for sure.
I don't want to hear them at all.
For sure.
Yeah, well, people don't know about it. They're trying, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, it doesn't help.
But with all of that said, I would talk about, Job's friends on hearing the news of his devastation were phenomenal the first 7 days. Mm-hmm. They sat with him in his pain. Mm-hmm. They got in trouble when they opened their mouths.
Yeah.
And tried to explain the pain away.
Right.
And so, you need a fresh set of people who will sit with you
and understand
this.
And understand.
Yeah.
And it's some people just don't understand.
Absolutely.
When I was a pastor and we made our infertility known, people did the craziest things. I mean, one woman in our church meant well, but she said she bought me 3 pairs of boxers and said that was going to change it. But we were able to laugh.
Oh my gosh!
But so I get a woman at church. I'm standing also shaking hands with people, and she comes through and she goes, "I got you something, and this is going to help you and Kathy." Yeah. And I'm like, "You have to be kidding me!"
Oh my gosh!
So I'm serious that Myra has probably had those kinds of crazy ideas, and it's hard. Myra, you just want to take a deep breath and work through your grief and know that God has a plan for you, and it's unknown right now, and that He is present in your life. And the shortest verse in the Bible is Jesus wept. He wept at the death of a friend. And if this is true, that you can't bear a child, then it's a death of a dream. That doesn't mean that you can't be with kids. Okay, and
I am a school teacher.
Oh my goodness! Okay, the best. But at the same time, your own child. I mean, you may want to consider. Have you ever considered adoption or foster care or any of those kind of things?
Not until this point. No,
right.
I was pursuing that way of getting a child.
Yeah, and it was really for us the adoption of Christy Meredith changed our life. There's still a hole, I think, in Kathy's heart from those moments back in the infertility days, but it's so different because of, it makes no difference that Christy is not from her womb. I mean, it really does, and yet we thought it might be. So, bless you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Myra, we're going to send you. Absolutely. Well, thank you for calling in, and we're going to send you a copy of the Life Recovery Workbook for Grief. And that just being one small other resource that helps you along the way. I oftentimes think of Jesus, or the description of Jesus in the prophets is as a man familiar with many sorrows. Mm-hmm. And I oftentimes think, hey, we need to get a lot more familiar with a man who is familiar with many sorrows. Yeah. That helps us in our time of need. Mm-hmm. And I think about, again, the verses in Hebrews that we do not have a high priest who is unfamiliar with our troubles, with our struggles. And so, really leaning deeper into our faith when it does seem like maybe even being betrayed by God, and having other people to encourage us and champion us in that way. So, again, we thank you so much for calling in, Myra. We also want to let you know that if any gift that you give in the month of July, $25 or more, we're going to send you out Henry Cloud's new book, Why I Believe. One of the things I've loved about this book is that, at least from what I can tell, Henry reveals more about his backstory, more about his history, more about his origin story, the things that I didn't know, that give us a deeper glimpse into him and who he is, but also helps us connect to our own story of God and why I believe. And it's just a great book that, of course, brings in all the great science and knowledge that Henry has, but just really helps us strengthen our faith. And I just think, especially in this world, in this time right now, there's so many things that are competing with or against our faith. Even if it's that fear or distraction. And so get this book, but get it through us. $25 or more, and you'll help us, and we will help you in return. And we're going to be right back right after this.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit its addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Club New Life changes lives.
I think I go way back to listening to New Life, learning so much from it, and then becoming a Club New Life member.
Club New Life is a monthly giving family that helps New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people.
You know, I'm so thankful because, you know why I keep giving? Because I keep learning, and I'm so thankful for all the lives that you touch every day and the people's lives. So when I get to still hear the radio show, it's just so encouraging to my heart.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
And you know one reason I give? Because I feel like sometimes I'm hiding behind a counselor's couch listening to all this great information and not paying, so my guilt of this great advice is alleviated by being a Club New Life member.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. And together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live, and I'm here with Jim Burns, Dr. Jill Hubbard, and we're about to be here with Brenda, listening in Pottstown, Pennsylvania on WBYN. Brenda, glad you're with us today. Hello, how's it going?
Well, I think it's going to go better now that I get to talk to you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm one of those childless mothers, mother of 3 estranged adult daughters. Now, they're 44, 46, and 48 now. So this has been going on for 20-plus years.
Oh, wow.
But I had a nasty divorce, and I got them through junior high, middle school, high school, college, graduate school. One even has her PhD.
Wow.
And but then at the last graduation, they turned around and went off with their father and the new wife. But I continued helping them through graduate school. That was after the last college graduation. I continued helping them through graduate school and through to the PhD. But now they have children, and I don't get to see my grandchildren. And the one daughter, Miss PhD, called me to put the children on the telephone, but trying to butter me up. But they didn't know who they were talking to. And I was trying to explain who I was. And in the background, she calls out, "She's my original mama." So, they wanted to know how could you have 2 mamas and got upset over that. So that call did not go very well.
So let me ask, Brenda, what is the reason that they are estranged from you?
I have no idea. They won't tell me. I had my sister call and tried to find out, and they said, "Oh, there's no problem at all." And I had a person who I didn't really know her, but I was telling her about it, and we were exchanging issues about the children. And so she called the oldest daughter. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
But it went awfully badly. And the next thing I knew, the police were at my door for a well check. The daughter called the police. She was in Washington State Health Department. and I'm here in Pennsylvania. She hadn't been in my house in 11 years.
But they called for a wellness check.
On you.
On me.
After your friend called.
No, my daughter called.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
But your friend talked to your daughter?
Yes, and wanted to know what was the problem. So I don't know what, but it turns out that it wasn't a friend, it was just a casual acquaintance, and that was my fault for giving her my daughter's number when I didn't really know the lady well enough.
And Brenda, let me ask you,
Sure.
Who are you? What's your support system there in Pennsylvania? Who's around you? Who are you doing life with?
Well, my best friend just died a couple of months ago, but she and her husband had been my greatest supporters through all of this.
Yeah.
And he died a few years ago, and then she died in April at age 92.
Oh, wow.
I'll be 75 next month,
Yeah.
Lord willing. But,
But let me go back to this. So your daughters have not given you any indication of why they have distanced themselves and estranged themselves from you. Yeah.
Right.
And have you asked them?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And I asked, why did they turn around and leave me at the graduation? Oh, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well, to me, it was, like yesterday.
For sure. For sure. And
so,
Brenda, let me ask this question. It's actually your question. What's the question for us on how we can help you today?
Actually, I wasn't going to ask for a question for help because I have a suggestion. I mean, I've been through it. It's sad, You know, the Mothers Against Drunk Drivers, MADD.
Uh-huh.
Well, my situation is BADD, with a lot of D's there. Betrayed, abandoned, abused, denied, demeaned, diminished, discarded.
Yeah.
It's a really bad scene. It's kind of like what happened to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. He was betrayed, abandoned, denied, and
Brenda, let me ask this: was that also an experience that you had in your home growing up?
No. No.
Okay.
No, I was the youngest of 5. I wasn't planned. My mother did tell me that.
Uh-huh.
But I had a very close relationship with my father. Unfortunately, he died when I was 10.
Oh, wow.
And my mother's funeral was on my 20th birthday. So
wow.
I'm
So that's a lot of
child
loss,
and a
yeah.
childless mother. Yes, I've had a lot of loss. I've lost 2 sisters I was very close to.
Yeah.
But, I don't know what I can do about my daughters. It's their choice.
Yes.
And they left. It's almost like the invasion of the body snatchers.
Mm-hmm.
They left the house. They left all of their things here.
Mm-hmm.
And then they tell people I'm a hoarder. And I'm trying to do an archaeological dig getting rid of their stuff. I found witchcraft books and palm reading books, a Ouija board, and my ex-husband's pornographic films. All these things I didn't know were there.
Yeah.
I can't just have somebody else come in and clean out when I don't know what's here.
Mm-hmm.
So my archaeological dig is traumatizing. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I can see how it would be. I am so sorry for all the layers of loss that you have had here, because any mother loves their children, would do anything for them, and it sounds like you really sacrificed for your girls.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I would encourage you in a couple of ways, and also the loss of friendship. That happens in life, and especially as we, as we're getting older, and so bringing new people into our lives and reinvesting is important. And I hope that you are doing that. That you will bring new people along to do life with you. I'm also wondering, when we don't know why people have pulled away and they've made such a strong stance and we aren't getting the answers, I think sometimes we need to pause and do some reflecting of our own. And almost sitting down and kind of taking inventory. And if you were to start like writing about your daughters growing up, and really think back to all of the things that transpired and perhaps the things that your daughters have tried to tell you over the years. Because often people are telling us or showing us, either showing us in their behavior or telling us. And when they feel like they can't get through to us, sometimes they leave and make a stance because they lose hope that the relationship can have some mutuality.
You know, I thank you for that. I agree. And one of my archaeological dig finds was an assignment from the youngest daughter's first semester in college. Mm-hmm. And she called it Table Talk. And she wrote about the conversations that she and I had on family history and things. And she wrote in there about her father and all of his lies and how painful it had been to her to recognize all of his lies. And she really validated me in it. I read it to my sisters and several family friends, and they all, said that she really tells it like it was. And the truth. So they know who their father is. They know what I did. They know his lies. So yet how... by the time of her graduation from college, 2.5 years later, did she turn around and just about face?
Yeah.
But then I just found last month, I found her high school diploma and $50 U.S. savings bond that she got as a prize for a writing contest.
Well, Brenda, I got to jump in here because we're running out of time and running to the break. But Jim, for you, is there any direction to give?
Brenda, I want to give you a real practical thing. On your archaeological digs and your family history, what I want you to do is I want you to do something for those grandkids. And don't even talk about the divorce or anything like that. Let them know who you are by saying, here's your mom when she was little. You have all this stuff. Send it to them. But do it with beauty, and they'll go, oh my gosh. Throw them in disequilibrium by being incredibly kind and generous as you do that. But let them know who you are.
Yes, I think that's a great suggestion, is those tokens of gifts and generosity and appreciation. I think that's a great way to move back into their lives. And Brenda, we're going to send you a copy of Jim's book, Doing Life with Our Adult Children. And hopefully that will, again, give you more guidance and practical solutions on how to re-engage with your children and with your grandchildren. Thank you so much for calling in today, and we're going to be back right after this.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are. Dr. Heidi Summers on coaching.
A lot of people don't understand the difference between counseling and coaching. Coaches can help you with strategizing. Not everyone is in a crisis or recovering from a trauma. A lot of people just need help getting to where they want to be, and they don't know how to do that. And so it's helpful to have a third party come in to give objective feedback, set goals, create accountability, and help you walk out what your goals actually are.
If you need a coach for life, your career, relationships, your health and fitness, leadership, and more, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been screened and certified with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
Coaches are intended to help you live in the present and goal set toward what it is you want for the future.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and talk to us about getting a new life coach today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live, and I want to mention something that we have coming up. We have Every Man's Battle, and it will be our last online intensive for Every Man's Battle. Not our last Every Man's Battle intensive. The rest of them will be in person. But in August, if for whatever reason there is a barrier to getting to this thing in person, you can access it online. That will be August 10th. And it's really important because the early bird discount ends tomorrow. So if this is something you're considering, something that you need to do, then go ahead and do that right now. And I also want to mention, if there is a financial barrier for you, give us a call at 1-800-NEW-LIFE, and we have a process that helps people do a need-based scholarship so that that financial barrier is not a barrier any longer for you to get the help that you need. The other thing that we do here is that also accessibility. Sometimes people can't wait online and on the phones, and they want to ask a question. And you can do that by, again, going to newlife.com /radio and submit a question for us, and we're going to go to one of those questions. It's Laura who does listen on our podcast, and the question, before I give you the background, is this, is should we let our son know that his wife was having an affair? So here's the background of it. They've been estranged from their son and grandchildren for the last 6 years, and they believe it's due to his spouse, their daughter-in-law. The last thing he said was that he wanted us to be a part of their lives, as his wife shook her head no. He then saw her and said, well, maybe not right now. We don't want him to find out that we knew and didn't say anything, and we're afraid it would crush him. I know part of our motive is to somehow let him know, also to be possibly be able to see him and the kids again. Mostly, we just hate to think that he doesn't know, and apparently this is not the only affair. They did go to the church, and one of the deacons in this small town that they live said they shouldn't tell him. So, guys, Laura and her husband are in this rock and a hard place where they're carrying the secret of their daughter-in-law having an affair, but also estranged from them at the same time. So,
right, and the telling of it could look like they're retaliating against her for shutting them out, right?
Yeah.
Which could then easily be denied.
Yeah.
And they're not aware, actually, if the son knows or not. I mean, the son may know.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? If they are estranged from him.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's a process. I mean, I honestly, this is where, as a Christian, we sometimes, I think the Lord, gives us different answers through, and it might be through counseling and whatever, but sometimes I think the answer would be, it's not your job to tell them, and try to get back. They're estranged. What's those reasons? Work on the estrangement things. We've been talking about that today.
Yes.
You opened with a great session on that in this program. There are other times when, if they did tell, it's very possible that the talk about the relationship being broken is going to be more broken, because nobody's going to be happy about that.
Yeah.
But it might be the thing they need. Now, I'm not saying she does that, but I do think that there are times when we look for discernment. We go, gosh, you could go right or left, and both, can get you to where you're hoping to go. That's where I think they need great wisdom and counsel. I think, they said they talked to the person at their church. They might want to talk to a counselor through this and let a counselor help them think through a plan to get back from the estrangement. The son said, not now. We want to have a relationship. And so somehow, how do you do that? I don't think a lot of us are capable to do that without the help of wisdom and counsel from somebody.
Yeah.
And so, you're not dealing with do you tell the person, talk about the estrangement. You're not telling them your wife had an affair. I mean, that's a horrible experience, and that's a tough thing. They're saying, how do we get back? And sometimes, to be honest, that's the case. Maybe they become the safe people for the son who already knows. We don't know that. So,
but I think you're right. I don't think you lead with that because I think it could easily backfire. Right? A husband that either doesn't want to know and then clings even tighter and pushes them away more.
Well, even if they conflate the issue, Laura and her husband do not have to. They can see that these are two very different issues. They may be related for sure, but talking to the son about the estrangement is different than talking to the son about his wife having an affair.
Yes.
And being able to differentiate those two things out, I think, is really important.
Yeah.
Those are different conversations.
Yeah, and Laura didn't tell us why the wife was shaking her head, but maybe she knows that they know, so she doesn't want them close at all.
Well, it fits a pattern. You know, people who are really stuck in probably an addictive pattern of affairs and infidelity also are very, very controlling.
Yeah, sure.
Right. Want to isolate and separate, feel threatened by the closeness, perhaps, of these parents or their authenticity. Right?
Yeah, and a lot of times I think estrangement is isolation. They want to isolate because they don't want you to know whatever that
thing is that they're doing.
Their mistakes, their sins, their brokenness, whatever it is. And so they choose the isolation. And frankly, that's the cheap, easy way out. It's not the right way to do it. Because that's not going to help anybody, and it's not going to help them eventually.
But this is where they could, write a letter and saying, we want to work on our blind spots, as we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
We want to learn and grow so that when you all are ready and feel like you're in a healthy enough place, and we are, that we can reconnect.
Yeah.
Can you give us some input?
Yeah. And you could even say, could we do this over, we promise it won't be longer than a 30-minute coffee at the beginning. Because again, what we try to do is sometimes we've been estranged. We try to do the big dump.
Right.
They're not ready for the dump. So you say, hey, look, we're willing, and it takes so much patience on our part because there's so much more we want to say. We'd like to just have coffee and look in your face. We love you so much. And that may be the breakthrough that they go, well, could we have coffee in 2 weeks for 35 minutes? It's little baby steps.
Well, it's interesting because going back to whether to disclose the affair or not, I was working with someone and fortunately his wife was having an affair and confronted her. She denied it, but he had mountains of evidence. And so it talked about, well, what do we do with the wife of her affair partner?
Yeah.
And he was really torn up about it. And we started with this principle: do unto others. If she knew, if the wife of the affair partner knew, would you want her to tell you? And he said, absolutely. I said, okay, now let's construct a plan.
It's really good.
Yes.
And so with that said, there are many different ways to disclose this information, but my concern for Laura is her son. He is in a really, really painful situation, and they know it. And how do we move back into that? And there's part of me, guys, I'm just like, you gotta take the risk and rip the Band-Aid off.
Right.
Because there is the pain of the estrangement, but there's the pain of his living condition right now. And where he lives and moves and has his being right now is not a good place at all. No. And so there's that risk of, hey, if I do go in and confront this, and again, all of the dynamics, hey, your parents are just trying to do this revenge lie or whatever the case may be. But I just think like something in truth needs to come out.
Well, and one of the things you said, and you say this a lot, Chris, is you say, create the plan. And as a therapist, I'm sure you're helping people create the plan.
Yeah.
Well, if you are going to choose to rip the Band-Aid off, and that may be a good option, have a plan behind that in some ways.
Yeah.
So have a plan toward that, have a plan behind it, because they're going to have to realize that by ripping the Band-Aid off, they may help their son like crazy. And secondly, they may lose their son for more years.
Yes.
But if they know ahead of time, and that's why we can't do it by ourselves. That's why we need the counsel and wisdom of others.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right, and someone to help navigate different options of a plan.
Absolutely.
Right? How to go about that.
So, Laura, thank you so much for your question. Jill, Jim, thank you for hanging out with me and helping the people that are calling in and the things that we love to do. Thanks for being with us. We'll be back.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE, but when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.